Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk, and we have started Battle Pass, my friends. So you saw my video yesterday talking about how it works, and I played one battle and I'm done. I did. I got every point that I need. I did it with the UDES 1516. It's a hack. It's a secret way to finish Battle Pass. It's not even close to that. But I got to thinking as I was playing the 1516, which is not a tank that I generally say, ooh, let me go play World of Tanks so I can play my 1516. Now, there may be some of you out there who love this tank. It does have some very interesting capabilities. But overall, I found it to be a little bit underwhelming. It is a tank that I have less than 100 battles in, so I do need to get the 100 battle challenge knocked out. And I'm somewhere around 28 battles in it, 48% win rate. Dabbled in it a bit, but haven't played it too much. So I've decided that I'm going to use some of the special tanks or the tanks that are part of the Battle Pass and get those extra points and work on a couple of the tanks I don't have 100 battles on. This happens to be one of them. So we're going to do a little bit of a quick review of it / show some gameplay. I'll spit it out here in a minute. But I also wanted to say, because as I was playing it, I thought to myself, this is a cool game. There's a lot of tanks in here, and there's a lot of tanks that people just don't play a whole bunch. And when I sat down and started playing the 1516, I said, great, let's see how I do. It's not a very good tank, and not a lot of people play it. Nobody likes it. It's just like, it's the ugly kid. Can you say that anymore? I don't know, but nobody likes the 1516. But is that true? Is that really true? Is it a bad tank? Is it fun to play the odd tanks? I happen to think so. That's one of the cool things about, for me anyway, doing the 100 Battle Challenge, is I get to play a lot of tanks that not a lot of people play. Like, I am heavily into the T42 right now, and that just really isn't a very popular tank either. But what do the numbers say about the 1516? Let's take a look at that, and then I'll show you how I have mine set up. This is going to be a journey. You're probably not going to like my setup. I don't think I quite like it, and I haven't done the field mod. So the other thing about the 100 Battle Challenge is it allows me to knock out the field mods and kind of get a feel for the tank and start working on the different builds. But what do the numbers say? I thought this was interesting. This is the NA server, and it is the last 60 days. So we've got tier 10 mediums, and we got the usual suspects at the top, the T96, Carl, Object 907, the tanks that are owned by the good players / they are good tanks. But check this out, the UDES in win rate is in the top 6, and we go with DPG, drops down a little bit, but not too far. Frag, where did you expect it to be? I should have asked that before I showed you. I thought it'd be at the bottom, my friends. I would have bet you money that it was bottom third kind of tank at tier 10. But that just isn't true. Now, it does drop down a bit in frags. We go to damage ratio, climbs a little bit back up towards the top, but not at the top. Top 10 and kill of the death. Survival is actually pretty good because it tends to be a tank that you sort of hide in. I think a lot of people play it TD-esque to some extent. It's not really a brawler. It's not a DPM machine. So it has a hard time taking on other mediums, but it is a bit stealthy and sneaky. So what is that telling me? Well, it's top 10. You know, not top 5, top 10, but number 6 to 10, top 10. And a couple of it might sneak out right at the bottom. It's kind of the same story on the EU server as well. This is actually not a bad tank. Its performance is top 10 at tier 10, and that may surprise some people. For fans of it, that may not surprise them at all. Howsomever, I did check how many people play it, and I was correct there. It is not played very much. Now, it shows up here in the top 10 or so, but there's quite a drop-off from Leopard, Progetto, TVP. I mean, these are all in the hundreds, multi-hundreds of thousands, and it's just getting up to about 100,000. Obviously, it's not down here with the K91, which is not much at all, or some of these other prize tanks down at the bottom down here, which are just not as many of them on the server. This happens to be a tech tree tank. So the story this tells me right here, and I was a bit surprised, I do have to admit that it's actually not a bad tank at tier 10, tech tree wise. It does compete, and that's very interesting. Now, I had a pretty good game. We're going to show you that in just a minute, but really quickly, for my little journey with the 1516 as we get reacquainted here, it does have 3 crew members, bit of a limitation. This is a pretty good crew, though. 4 skills working on the 5th, and then 3 working on the 4th for the other 2. I do have one of the Snow Maidens from the past is in there. I am working on my field mods. I only have 2 of them unlocked right now. Okay, this is the part some of you aren't going to like, and I will take any advice you have down there or suggestions. I will have 2 setups once I get through my field mods and get the next setup, and I will continue to work with this. I'm also going to throw some more improved or purple, probably not purple, but improved equipment at it. I just haven't really got around to it. That being said, I did just change this. The game you're about to watch does have vents. I switched it over to a Bounty Turbo because I just didn't quite like the speed. I wanted a little bit more oomph. It's not bad, but this will help it a little bit. I am running a CVS, so I've got a weird kind of mixture. I got speed, I got CVS, I got a rammer. Okay, not the best. What are some of the other things we can chuck up there? We can use an IA. We take a look at my particular setup, though I have a .33, which isn't bad the way I've got it set up. So an IA would help that a little bit. There's vents obviously in the mix. A vert stab is certainly in the mix right there. So I think a vision setup maybe with CVS or maybe just optics with a couple items, and then more of a combat setup is what I'm going to end up dropping onto or going with once I get that unlocked. But for now, we're just practicing or looking at how this thing works. So you guys let me know what you think down there. I'm running 22-16 heat rounds, which gives me 310 pen, which is a little bit anemic at tier 10, but most of the mediums are kind of like that. 254 is not bad with just the APCR, and I've got a couple high explosives chucked in there for the moment. And I may end up running food a little while later. I am running with a repair kit, med kit, and an automatic fire extinguisher. So as you can see, I haven't quite dialed in what I want to do with this right here. I may use a little field mods as well, but right now this is what we've got. What does that give me? It's got a 440 alpha, which is actually pretty nice. A relatively low rate of fire for a 3,258 DPM. That's not bad. 0.33 dispersion, 2.06 with the aiming. There's that one of the big things that this has. One of its tricks, if you will, is the -13 with the hydro thing going on. So it can really kind of peek over corners and do some pretty cool things. It does have a fairly limited elevation of 25. That's not horrible, but it's not great. We have 1,950 hit points, and we come down here. We are looking at 55 top speed. That's with the turbo, 27 backwards, which is actually very nice for the push forward and go backwards using the kind of siege mode this thing has and all that good stuff. So that's pretty good. Not bad at all. And look at that, 25 for the concealment. So maybe there's another option for a concealment build. That's kind of a tertiary idea. Maybe that goes with the vision build, throw something on there to bring up his camo a little bit. And we're running a 420 view range, which is not max. That's not great right there. We'd really like to see that 445. So I think chucking on an optics on one of those would be nice as well. So there you go. There's my setup. There's my crew, all that good stuff. Actually, just reminds me I probably need to get in here and get intuition sorted out. All right, we're all right. We're at 77, so that's the one they're working on. That way I can switch shells much faster. I'll be at 77% of the max on that. So there you go. Let's go take a look at some gameplay real quickly. As I start to work the Battle Pass UDES 1560 and get reacquainted with this tank. All right, this was the first battle I had. I actually had a fairly decent battle. As you can see, it's a nice setup, and especially for the fact that we're on Westfield and it is an encounter mode. We're all up here on top. This thing has great hold down capability for a medium. So I have lots of options on how I want to play this particular position on this map. Also, I'm top tier, and there's not a lot of beef, right? There's an STB Centurion. In fact, there's no real heavy stuff at tier 10 other than the Badger on their side, and we have a Death Star on ours. So kind of an interesting setup. There are 2 Arties on each side, so I do have to watch out for that. I pretty much get through this unmolested from the Artie. So let's take a look at how this goes down. So one of the things I talked about at the beginning of this, and why is this thing shaking so much? At the beginning of this is getting to tanks that I haven't played a whole bunch, and that then also allows me to kind of play the maps a little different, try to figure out places tanks can go because they've got quirky capabilities like the 1516. In general, meta is meta. It doesn't really matter a whole bunch what your tank is. It may change where your tank goes, but the meta doesn't change much. So I'm not going to do anything spectacularly crazy here, but I am going to go to a place that I don't generally go. As you can see there, I was using the vents in this particular battle. So I decide on this one just to give it a little test to go up into this dip and see if I can harass guys that are poking up and over. Maybe move forward up here to the hill where this thing is. What about B1 or so? Or potentially get up into the dunes and start using my hold down capability and that -13 gun depression. One thing you do have to fight with these UDES things, with these Swedish guys with the kind of siege mode action or hydraulic stuff, is messing around with that last few depression, trying to get it all sorted out. Now I've got my heat, took a stab at the 100 LT and missed. We're going to bounce off that. Looks like maybe I hit a little low on there. Probably APCR would have been a better bet on that particular shot. But you know what? Let's spam the gold. So he doesn't want to be shot by me. There's a shot coming in. I don't know if somebody was going after me or that wasn't Artie going after someone else. Looks like Artie after someone else. So we're kind of using this bush, although it's not really covering me up for everybody. I see the STB come up, so we'll just put a little stab on there. Thing about a tank like this with aiming and using the siege mode is you got to try to be as smooth as possible with moving around. You'll notice that I'm not always that. I try to be, but I'm not always. Ooh, Artie, that would be fantastic to kill that guy. Now I find the KPZ, so we'll pop him. I'm glad one of the other two, the STB or the Skoda, didn't come up and kill me, but that gets rid of him. And as I'm looking at the enemy team start to kind of dissolve right here, talk about this move here, break this down just a little bit. As I'm watching this team start to dissolve a little bit, I notice that most of them are in the bowl. If I look at their tanks, has the Badger showed up yet? I think not yet. He's going to end up in the city. So the one thing I don't know that's very important is where's the Badger. I see the Su-130 bailing out. That makes me feel like more than likely there's not much left, if anything, up on the sniper hill. So I think he keeps getting spotted. He feels he's in danger. He bails out. More than likely doesn't have any buddies up there. Could be, but I'm going to take that chance. We're going to come up here and start shooting guys in the side. And as I push in, you notice as I zoom out and kind of look around as we push in, I notice there's nobody on this back edge, and that's just further confirming that there's no one here, and I can come around behind these guys and start shooting them. As a matter of fact, and also too, in addition to, I didn't get lit, and I've been driving for a while out here in the open, which really means to me there's nobody up in the sniper hill right there. Even if there was, more than likely if they shot me at this range, I would light them up and they would die pretty quickly. But this becomes Farmalama Ding Dang. Come around here, we'll work with the hydraulic thing. You notice you gotta wait till it kind of, there we go, shoot that guy in the buttocks. We'll back out, relatively long reload, not too bad though, and they're not paying attention to me. Now here's something that I'm pretty proud of myself because it's fairly obvious on a low and I'm working on this, but even when you're shooting at the side of tanks, be careful where you aim, especially with heat. I tend to go into the tracks a lot. The low's easy because there's a really big, wide thing to shoot there. But I'm trying to work on being very careful on my placement, even on what are supposedly easy shots into the side of tanks, because you can really boof yourself getting into spaced armor, getting into tracks, not paying attention to exactly where you're shooting, and we get rid of that guy. Coming here to the Skoda, I kind of get the same thing done here as I sort of try to figure out how to aim. Think about the turret. There we go. Okay. Almost maybe got into the bottom part of the turret where it's angled, so be careful with that. The turret ring is a weak spot, but sometimes you go slightly higher low, depending on the angles, you can get weird bounces. I'm going to take kind of a snap at him, but that doesn't work. Thinking about going to the Badger, he dies, push in. I saw the 100 LT pushing at us, there he goes. This is just going to work out nicely for me, kind of lucky, but we get it. I aimed over the wall, and actually I don't know, was that an APCR shell? Not paying attention. Or did I? Nope, I think I still had a heat shell right there. So I shoot one heat shell at this guy. Really wish I'd have got off the heat, so to speak. There's the 100. I saw that marker coming in. That's something worth talking about right there, and I've mentioned it several times on quick tips, on Q-tips. Watch the markers and where guys are going. That 100 LT was only lit for a while, but from what I could tell on his marker and where he was lit, he's pushing straight at us across that field, right? He's not spotted now, but he's there. Even if he turned around and tried to get away, I should be able to come out and find him. Somebody else sees him. And then, like I said, this is where I aim above the rock wall, because I know a heat round isn't going to go through that rock wall. So, not as big a factor if I would have been paying attention and not shot all heat. So, we're going to do this because it's a Rompel Stomp and I like killing Artie. 100 LT is gone. I ignore the 100 LT. They'll kill him back there. Be careful about that. Sometimes you can ignore tanks that then start to wreck things, but based on this situation here, I'm trying to track him. It didn't matter. I did get a track, actually. Yep, got some assist out of it as well. So I tried to track that guy as he angled there. Gave me both a track and a shot. We'll come in here. He's trying to aim in. Boom, we'll kill him off. Take a hit from the Kunze Panzer. And off we go. We're at 3,210. We got 310 assists. I have hit points to give. I'm basically just pushing in here. I'm not paying attention as close as I should be, though, that the charge running around. So I get a late shot. That's a crap shot. No lead fire on it. We'll just keep pushing in. I get lit again. I expect that Coons is going to hit me. Try to get in here to hit the char footer. Like, oh, should have fired. Waiting for him to come around. Got him. No. Another miss. But we do get the spotting, so hit points to give. Late game, absolute romple stomp. Push into the enemy, get him lit, and then you can pick up some more assist damage, because I'm at 3210, didn't get any more damage, but I got a little bit more assist, and I think, nope, I didn't get that last assist the guy up top did, but I was at 300 or so, got another 300 assist out of it. So we come out of it with 2 kills, 3,210 damage, 656 assist, and that wasn't a radically different position to go to, but it's not a position I would go to very often based on most of the tanks that I play. I find working up on the hill itself is probably the better spot. This tank can do that very well, and I may have done a pretty good job up there as well based on its ability to go hold down and with its gun depression, but I wanted to try that because this tank is one of those tanks that can use that position where I went pretty well. And of course, when the game is very permissive, i.e. we're crushing them, then you have opportunities to move forward and gobble damage and all that stuff. But pretty good little game right there. We'll see how it goes. That brought me up to about 48% on that tank. Obviously hoping to be well above 50 by the time I'm done at 100 battles. So let me know what you're going to do with your battle pass. Do you guys play the 3 tanks, any of the 3 tanks where you get extra points for battle pass? I think that's probably one of the better ways to go if you don't have a lot of tier 6s. More than likely spamming tier 6s is the fastest way to go. But there are extra points available, as I said yesterday in the video, for working with the 3 tanks that are part of the battle pass. So this is an interesting one. I think I'm going to enjoy it. We'll see. It's always high fives and happy faces when you have a good game at the beginning, and then you get your 0-10 streak and you're going to be done with this thing. But we'll see how it goes with the UDES as I spam it for the battle pass. Thanks for coming and checking out the video, guys. Thanks for your support of the channel. As always, hit me a subscribe down there if you like what you see. That's all I've got for today. We will see ya.